Okay, so picture this. It's the dead of winter. The country feels, well, more divided than ever. And then, this small group of monks in bright orange robes just starts walking. This is the incredible story of their 3,200-mile journey for peace, and how it somehow, quietly, managed to captivate an entire nation.
You know, with everything going on in the world, all the crises, the division, it's a fair question to ask, what could possibly bring people together anymore? I mean, really, what could unite thousands of us out on the streets for the same reason? Well, the answer is way simpler than you'd probably guess.
A walk? Yep, that's it. Not a protest, not some big political rally, just a walk. But this wasn't just any walk. It was an epic 3,200-mile pilgrimage that turned into a phenomenon nobody saw coming.
All right, so let's dive into our first section here. How on earth did a journey this unlikely even start? I mean, to really get it, you have to paint a picture in your mind. It's the middle of a harsh winter, there's snow everywhere, and you see something that just doesn't quite make sense.
I mean, think about that contrast for a second. The news is just screaming about conflict day in and day out. And meanwhile, you have these monks just walking, silently, in freezing, sub-zero temperatures with nothing but a message of peace. And what's wild is what happened next. People who you'd think would be bundled up inside, they started lining the streets just to see them. They were drawn to this quiet, powerful sight.
Okay, so what exactly are we talking about here? Let's break down the sheer scale of this thing, because when you see the numbers, it's pretty staggering.
It all started with just 19 people, a small, core group of Buddhist monks who decided to take on this absolutely extraordinary mission.
And they committed to walking for 110 days. Let that sink in. That's almost 4 straight months of walking. A grueling, nonstop spiritual and physical journey. All of it on foot. All told, they would cover 3,200 miles. I mean, that's an epic trek across a huge part of the United States. And they did it all, one single step at a time.
And just look at this path. It's incredible. They kicked things off in Fort Worth, Texas, after a really beautiful interfaith ceremony. Then they headed right into the American South, through Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama. By the time they hit Atlanta in early January, they'd already covered more than 1,300 miles. And their final destination? Washington, D.C.
But here's the thing. This became so much more than just a walk. It turned into a genuine cultural moment. So the big question is, why? Why did this particular message, delivered in this specific way, hit home for so many people all across the country?
Well, it really seems like it was a perfect storm of reasons. First off, the timing was everything. People were just tired of all the conflict. And this walk wasn't about fighting something out there. It was about finding peace in here. A huge part of it was that it was completely apolitical. That meant everyone felt welcome no matter what they believed. And finally, you just can't overstate the symbolism. The simple, powerful image of these monks walking, day after day. It was just so authentic and inspiring, it literally brought people together.
And this really gets to the heart of what made it so different. See, this wasn't a protest against something, it was an invitation to something. It was a shift in focus. Instead of focusing on external opposition, they focused on awakening peace from within. One of the monks said it best, they walked not to protest, but to awaken the peace that already lives within each of us. So the goal wasn't about changing policy, it was about personal, spiritual reflection.
A huge part of their message was this concept of mindfulness. So what is that really? At its core, it's about paying attention to the present moment, right now, without judging your thoughts or feelings. You just observe them. And you can see why that message would land, right? In our world of nonstop distraction and anxiety, this idea offered a real, practical way for people to find a little bit of calm.
All right, so let's move on, because this message didn't just connect with people, it absolutely caught fire. What started as a small pilgrimage just exploded into this nationwide movement of hope.
First, it just blew up online. The monks were sharing their journey on social media with this great tagline, one mindful step at a time. And before they knew it, they had this huge online following. Over 400,000 people were tracking their every move.
And that online buzz wasn't just clicks and likes. It spilled right out into the real world. I mean, thousands of people, all ages, all faiths, lined the streets to wish them well. It got so big that some state governments even issued official proclamations to welcome them. That's pretty amazing.
In fact, the movement's power to unite people was so overwhelming that it actually drew comparisons to the historic civil rights movement. Now, to be clear, it wasn't about the specific goals, but about the spirit. It was about the incredible power of a peaceful walking movement to bring all kinds of different people together for a single cause.
And you gotta understand, this was no easy walk in the park. Their dedication was absolute. They faced real hardship. I mean, at one point there was a terrible accident, and 3 monks were injured. One even lost a leg. But even after that, they kept going. That level of perseverance just made their commitment to peace that much more powerful to everyone watching.
So, what's the ultimate takeaway here? What's the core message that these monks walked 3,200 miles to share with all of us?
Well, the spiritual leader of the walk, Ven Bhikkhu Panakara, really summed it up perfectly. He said, peace is not a destination, it's a way of life. Basically, it's not something you find at the end of a long road, it's something you have to practice every single day. It starts inside you, and from there, it can radiate out to your family, your community, and, well, the whole world.
And this ancient Buddhist teaching really captures the entire spirit of the walk. Hatred never ceases by hatred, but by love alone. It's such a simple but powerful idea, isn't it? It suggests that the answer to conflict isn't more conflict. The answer is love. That's the whole message.
So the monks' physical walk will eventually end in Washington, D.C., but their real message is that the walk for peace, that one's an internal journey. It's a journey that doesn't have a finish line, and it leaves all of us with a pretty important question to think about. Where does the walk for peace begin for you?